Ben, rarely am I dressed that much better than you, but for this specific clip regarding the Mets' Matt Harvey and whether or not they should be shutting him down for the season, I went out.
Yeah,
An authentic New York Mets Major League Baseball jersey.
Oh, good for you. It's authentic. That's great.
It's very comfortable. It is cool
great.
gear
You can
control.
tell it's authentic because you can't.
It's cool base control when it's 99 degrees out in the Valley of Los Angeles.
Nobody who is wearing, how much did that cost?
I'm not going to disclose.
How much did it cost?
$185.
Nobody's wearing a $185 child's outfit is ever dressed better than anyone else.
A child's outfit, my friend. This is a child's outfit.
Yeah.
This, my friend, is a sign of fandom and desperation for a World Series since I was born. And at least it's a player's number who will be
Is that
retired.
a game-used jersey?
No, I would never wear that. Come on now, that you framed. Do you have any, as a baseball fan, you don't have any Oakland A's memorabilia?
I do. I made a Mitchell Page jersey, number 6. I put Page on the back. I have worn it out once to play softball.
As a child would do.
To play softball, which I think I get an exemption for, but I never did it again. You know why? Because I felt like a schmo.
And you ruined the jersey.
No, I didn't ruin the jersey. I feel silly for getting it. Continue.
Oh, my God. I might give up on the clip. Mets' Matt Harvey might be shut down, might not be shut down. According to the Players Tribune, he wrote a piece that he will pitch in the playoffs. There is, only other way to put it, a clusterfuck of management, team management, his agent Scott Boras, Terry Collins, Matt Harvey himself, all in this tornado of whether or not he should be shut down for the season. There's one quick important point.
Pronounced tornado.
Tornado. One quick important point to make about the innings pitched limit, and this is what frustrates me. Innings pitched is I think the correct word is an arbitrary number because you do not know how many pitches were thrown specifically per inning. Innings pitched does not mean 10 pitches were thrown that inning, 22 pitches were thrown that inning. It should be pitches thrown as the count. And if they said Matt Harvey has a 2,400 pitch count and there was scientific evidence to back up that pitchers who throw that many pitches after a year coming back from Tommy John surgery, and they had proof, scientific proof, health proof, to say that they should shut him down, then I would be all on board for shutting down Matt Harvey. But when you look back on Tommy John himself, in 1976, I believe it was, if I wrote it down correctly, Tommy John threw 207 innings pitched. I don't know the exact pitch count, but I would love to look it up through Baseball Reference. After his surgery, and the only reason he was shut down was because of his manager, out of anxiety and fear that his elbow would be destroyed. He went on to pitch for a decade, longer.
Well,
don't shut him down.
You make a couple interesting points, but you ultimately get it slightly wrong.
Okay. Well, where did I go wrong?
Tommy John missed 1975, and then he came back in 1976, as you say, to throw 207 innings. But he came back a very different pitcher. So that's one point that you have to acknowledge about.
After the first successful surgery, but we've had 30 years of science, 40 years of health and medicine improvements. But it fits the mold of the point that he did pitch for 10 more years.
He did. He became a totally different pitcher. He didn't throw nearly as hard. He was never a huge strikeout guy, but he became an embarrassingly low strikeout guy. He didn't strike
what was
anybody
his K per nine?
I mean, you look at some of his numbers here. I mean, and he pitched 265 innings in 1980, 265 major league innings in 1980. He struck out 78 guys. That's unbelievable.
I might be able to do better than that.
That is unreal. 265 innings he struck, and he won 22 games for the Yankees.
That's not a bad number.
So
he was a Yankee.
You're right about pitch. You're right about the arbitrariness of it. But the fact is, we're in uncharted territory. So we're not going to have the thing that you say you want. So you got a straw man argument going on there.
Okay.
When you say I need medical evidence, we don't know, because now what we do know is that we've had now at least 4 pitchers who've come from Tommy John and had their surgery and had to have the surgery again. Then
Which
you
is
see
almost a death sentence.
Right. Well, it probably won't be. But
Josh Johnson had it twice. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, there's 4 guys, and then you see, and the guys who pitched when they pitched, I guess, more than 200 innings in their year back, they had problems again. Then you see the horrible story of Jared Parker in Oakland, who had 1 surgery when he was a minor leaguer in Arizona, a 2nd surgery here with Oakland, appeared to be on the road back, and he shattered his arm again. So it's hard to believe that's not somewhat related. It's a different area. They said the ligament is still perfectly attached, and it looks like he'll be able to pitch next year. He's shut down for this year. My hunch is that he'll come back as a reliever, but his earning potential plummeted.
Right.
Fingers crossed if he can come back as a starter, be a great story. So Scott Boras couldn't have handled this more poorly. And Matt Harvey has to take some responsibility for his life, and so he handled it poorly also.
Right.
Very poorly, embarrassing. This is supposed to be a private conversation, and it should have been a conversation that happened before. Maybe Boris came out publicly because the conversations before had been unclear, or the Mets weren't willing to have it, in which case it's on the Mets somewhat too. But to have this turn into a story during this magical season of the Mets is just foolish. What the Mets are doing now, the reaction to it now seems to be far more reasonable, and it's what the Nationals should have done.
With Strasburg.
Shut him down in September and have him pitch in October. It was so obvious, it's insane that it didn't happen when the Nationals did that. Shut him down in September, move those innings to October. That's all you have to do. That's essentially what the Mets are going to do here. My hunch is he won't pitch again this year, except maybe in the last series of the year, assuming they haven't won. You give him a tune-up, you let him throw 60 pitches, get him ready for a postseason start. You're right about the other thing. Matt Harvey, 5th in the league, I believe, at 14.5 pitches per inning. So that's good. So that means
a lot of games with a lot of 8-inning games with 80 pitches.
So his 170 pitch limit is probably, if you presume the average pitch limit is 180 pitch. No, he's at 170 now. We're just over 170 right now. So the 170 some odd that he's thrown right now,
innings pitched,
probably is more like another guy who's pitched 158 or 160, which buys him 10. But the 180 pitch limit we decided on was arbitrary. As you say, it was arbitrarily set by a doctor, and that matters more than if it's just been arbitrarily set. But we don't, a sample size of 4 guys that Boris pointed out that have had their arms blown out is not a sample size, that's just a list.
Right.
That's not a real thing. So, but we all have to acknowledge that Matt Harvey and Scott Boris's point of view of, look, I'd like to pitch 12 more years in this league, and I'd like to make $150 million. I wouldn't like to be out of this game in a year and a half. And while the fan part of you wants Harvey to pitch in the postseason, and that is...
But that's the specific fan part of me that's saying postseason. You can shut him down for now.
Right, but if he'd pitched 188 innings by now or 195 now, and that's how you guys got here, if you didn't have 15 pitchers like the Mets do, then it might be reasonable to shut him down. It's really a hard decision to make, but the fact of the matter is if Harvey pitches in the playoffs, Met fans will adore him and they'll cheer him and he'll be a hero, right? If he hurts his arm in the playoffs and comes back next year, goes on the disabled list in April, tries to come back in July, struggles, ends up going 3-2 with a 5.49 ERA, the Mets release him the next year because he can't come back. He catches on in 2018, pitches 9 innings for the Tigers. Nobody's going to care. The Mets will give up on him and let him go at the first moment that he's ineffective. And there'll be some stories about, oh man, remember when Matt Harvey looked like he was going to be good, but then he blew out his arm and he tried gamely, and the fans will be clamoring for the next big prospect. So if you'll excuse me.
We have like 6 of them on the rotation.
F the fans. Like this is not, they have nothing to do with this decision. Nothing at all.
I don't get nothing here.
You get, oh yeah, sure, right. Nothing. It's just, that's not what this is about. You have to let the doctors make this call. This guy has maybe $150 million to earn. You have to let them make this call. That said, reasonable people appear to have come to a reasonable decision to where this guy can pitch in the postseason, which presumably is what he wants to do.
Right. So that kind of falls into the same conversation as should any pitch. This affects Matt Harvey right now because, again, it's the time and place situation that is identical to Stephen Strasburg in 2012. And just because he got shut down, it doesn't mean the Nationals win the NLDS in 2012, but they certainly have a much better chance at winning.
Better shot when you have one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Absolutely. So again, you can't predict that outcome if he pitched or not, but shut him down for now, the 2-3 weeks. Let him get some of that inning, because my hope is that as a fan, this is the very specific fan part of me coming out, because I have not seen the Mets in the playoffs since 2006. I've seen the wheels fall off this team too many times. And having those extra innings, that extra one start, or you throw them in the bullpen just so we can get him out there, will increase our chances of making a run.
Yeah, he's going to do it. They shouldn't pitch again this year except to tune up. You know, they're not going to need that last series.
There's also, apologies for interrupting, but the Chris Carpenter insurance that happened. Do you remember when they did something along the lines of he knew he was going to get less money, and just so he can insure the fact that his elbow, you might know more of this story than I do, but I was reading a little bit about this. Similar situation could happen.
It's important. This kid wants to pitch. They handle it incredibly poorly. The Met fans
were
giant douchebags, jackbags about it. because they don't. You know, this isn't them. This is not. He's not doing this for them. He's doing this for him and his team, and that's the way. That's the way it's always been.
I agree with that. I have no sympathy for him. No.
But they're making the right call. The good thing is they're not going to need him again. It would appear after that sweep at Washington. So
Don't.
I got it. I
Don't.
talked. My cousin's a big Met fan, Nick Davis,
Don't.
and he was like, don't. I'm like, relax.
Don't.
You reach the point when you're 7-up with and a magic number of 16, which is I think what they got right now. Now, if you blow the lead, it becomes historic.
Thanks.
They could still blow it, but it would be historic.
Thank you, guys.
So hopefully we'll see Harvey in the playoffs. And look, you know, if it happens that he pitches in the DS and they win it, and then he can't pitch after that, and because they shut him down, then that's still better. That's still better. But let him pitch. My punch is that he'll pitch and he'll pitch effectively in the postseason.
As a friend of mine always says about Matt Harvey, he will be a great Yankee. Leave all your comments in the comments section below. What do you think? Should pitchers be shut down by agents, by doctors, by whatever?
No, doctors. Don't let doctors shut them down. That's good thinking.
Don't. Yeah, I don't care. Whatever. Comment below. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.